The day baby Lily came home from the hospital, everything changed, especially for Max. Max wasn't just any dog. He was a 5-year-old German Shepherd with a calm soul and a sharp mind. He had been part of the Harris family since he was a puppy. Loyal, obedient, and incredibly intuitive. Max had been through everything with them. New jobs, a house move, even the loss of Anna's father. He had always sensed moods, comforted the sad, and watched over the family like it was his sworn duty. But nothing prepared the Harrises for how Max reacted to Lily. The moment Anna walked through the door holding her swaddled newborn, Max perked up. His tail didn't wag with excitement like usual. Instead, he stood perfectly still, ears alert, eyes focused entirely on the bundle in Anna's arms. He approached slowly, cautiously, and looked up as if seeking permission. Anna knelt down and let him sniff the air gently near the baby. He didn't bark. He didn't jump. He just sat quietly and didn't look away. From that moment on, Max appointed himself Lily's shadow. He followed her crib from room to room. If someone moved her, Max followed. If she cried, he was the first to react, often rushing in before Anna or her husband, Ben, even heard the noise. At first, the couple found it sweet entering. Even he's just being protective, Ben said with a chuckle. Big brother instincts kicking in. But within a few days, it was clear this was something deeper. Max began skipping meals. He would sniff at his bowl, take a bite or two, and then trot right back to the baby's side. During walks, he dragged his leash toward the house, anxious to return. When visitors came to see Lily, Max stood guard. He never growled, but his eyes followed their every move until they stepped away from the baby. If Anna handed Lily to someone else, Max would inch closer, sitting directly at their feet, ready to intervene if something went wrong. The family had always known Max was smart, but this behavior bordered on obsessive. One evening, Anna watched as Max sat perfectly still by Lily's bassinet, staring at her, not just casually watching, but intently observing. Every time Lily shifted or made a small noise, Max's ears flicked. When she sighed in her sleep, he gently stood, sniffed the air above her, and lay back down. It was as if he was waiting for something, but they didn't know what. They began to wonder, could he sense something they couldn't? When nighttime came, Max would lie under Lily's crib, refusing to leave, even when called. The once cuddly dog who used to curl up in bed with Ben now preferred the hardwood floor of the nursery. Even after long days, Max would ignore his own fatigue to keep watch. One night, Anna walked in to find him still sitting up, eyes half shut but body tense. He was tired but wouldn't let himself rest. That's when the worry began. He's never been like this, Anna whispered to Ben one night. It's like he thinks she's not safe. Ben shrugged. He's just being a good dog. It'll pass. But at DIDN single quotes every day, Max's behavior stayed the same. Not aggressive, not agitated, just incredibly alert. It was devotion, but also something more intense. Protective, yes, but it almost felt like he was trying to communicate a message no one could understand. And still, Lily appeared perfectly healthy. She smiled. She fed well. She slept soundly, save for the usual newborn fussing. Every doctor's visit came back clear. Yet Max didn't seem convinced. He stayed at her side like something was wrong, and only he could sense it. Anna started to trust his instincts more than she wanted to admit. After all, animals could pick up on things humans couldn't. Changes in scent, body temperature, subtle shifts in breathing. Max wasn't acting out of fear. He was acting with purpose. And soon, Anna would realize he had a reason that no one saw coming. Max's behavior didn't change, in fact. It grew even more intense. He had now completely adjusted his routine to match Lily's. When she was awake, he was by her side. When she slept, he lay beside her crib, unmoving and alert. Every time she was picked up, Max would stand up and follow the person carrying her. It didn't matter if it was Anna, Ben, or even a visiting grandparent. Max was there, watching closely, tail still, head slightly lowered, like a silent guard. Anna started taking photos of Max's strange devotion. One image showed him lying with his head on the edge of the crib, eyes wide open, staring up at the sleeping baby. She posted it online with the caption, "He hasn't left her side since the day we brought her home." Friends responded with heart emojis and comments like "so sweet" and "true guardian angel." But Anna didn't feel comforted. She felt something else, a nagging unease. Max was always calm, never aggressive, but he had become unpredictable in one specific way: his reactions to sound. Lily's cries triggered an immediate, almost urgent response. He would rush to her side as though something was wrong, sniffing her face and chest, then looking back at Anna or Ben with wide, alert eyes. It wasn't panic, but it wasn't normal, either. One evening, Ben tried to coax Max away from the nursery for a walk. It had been days since Max showed any interest in going outside. With leash in hand, Ben whistled and opened the front door. Max didn't move. He just stared at the crib. When Ben tugged gently at his collar, Max finally got up, but instead of walking to the door, he circled the crib once, then sat down again. He wasn't going anywhere. That night, Anna lay awake in bed. Lily was asleep, and Max was as always lying on the nursery floor. But around 2 a.m., Anna heard something that sent a chill down her spine. A low whimper. It was Max. She walked quietly to the nursery and saw him sitting, head tilted, softly whining. Lily was still sleeping peacefully. Anna bent down to check her, brushing a hand gently across her forehead. Cool, no fever, breathing steady, nothing unusual. But Max wouldn't stop. He stood up and began pacing in small circles around the crib. Then nudged Anna's leg with his nose and looked up at her. His eyes weren't frantic but pleading. Something about it made her heart beat faster. He was trying to say something, and he was serious. Over the next few days, Max's concern turned almost ritualistic. He would sniff the air around Lily, always around her chest and neck. Never her feet or arms, just that one area. Then he'd lie down and stare. It wasn't just habit anymore. It felt like he was monitoring something invisible to everyone else. Anna's mother visited and remarked, "That dog is like a little soldier. He's not guarding her, he's studying her." That word stuck with Anna. Studying. Max wasn't being overprotective. He was being precise. Then came a moment Anna would never forget. She was feeding Lily one morning in the nursery, the soft morning light streaming in through the curtains. Max was, as usual, sitting nearby. Suddenly, Lily coughed, just a light cough, nothing alarming, and Max jumped to his feet. He barked, once, sharply. The sound was loud in the small room. Then he ran forward, standing between Anna and the baby, eyes focused on Lily's face. Anna's hands shook slightly. "What is it, Max?" she whispered, clutching Lily a little closer. The baby had settled, her cough gone, face still calm. But Max wouldn't sit. He kept his body low, and nose pointed directly at her chest. Then he looked at Anna, eyes wide and locked on hers. Something was wrong. She didn't know what, but she felt it in her chest. That night, after Lily fell asleep, Anna sat on the couch, staring at the monitor screen. Max's body was visible in the corner of the crib. Camera, watching, waiting, not moving an inch. And that's when she knew. This wasn't just instinct. Max was trying to save her baby. Max's behavior was no longer just a habit. It was starting to feel like a message. Each day that passed made Anna more certain. Her dog knew something she didn't. The way Max stared at Lily wasn't casual. He studied her as if he was reading signs no human eye could detect. Even his body language had changed, more still, more focused. He didn't respond to doorbells or passing cars. He barely reacted when Ben dropped a plate one morning. Nothing distracted him. His world had narrowed to one point. The baby, Ben, however, still wasn't convinced. "I think we're reading too much into it," he said, as he poured coffee one morning. "Max is just obsessed. Maybe it's a scent thing or bonding instinct. He'll settle down." But Anna wasn't so sure. The look in Max's eyes wasn't obsession, it was concern. One afternoon, Anna decided to test something. Lily was napping in her crib, and Max, as always, was stationed right beside her. Anna gently picked the baby up and carried her into the living room, laying her in the baby rocker by the window. Max followed instantly and lay beside the rocker, nose resting near Lily's chest. A few minutes later, Anna called Max into the kitchen and offered him a treat. He looked at her, then turned back to Lily. She held up his favorite toy. Nothing. It was the first time in 5 years Max had refused both food and play. Later that evening, something strange happened. While feeding Lily, Anna noticed a short pause. In her breath, it only lasted a second, but it made her freeze. Lily's little body suddenly stiffened, then relaxed again. It was so fast, Anna questioned if she'd imagined it, but Max hadn't. He was standing already, watching closely, his ears raised. Anna didn't mention it to Ben that night, unsure if it was just a newborn twitch. Babies were known to do strange things in their sleep. But the image of Max, he had reacted even before she noticed, stayed with her. By the end of that week, Max began to respond to things that weren't visible or audible to anyone else. One night, he suddenly stood up, walked over to the bassinet, and let out a low growl, not of aggression, but of discomfort. His eyes were fixed on Lily, and then he let out a short whimper and rested his head near her chest. Anna sat up in bed and whispered, "Ben, he's doing it again." Ben turned over, still half asleep. "She's fine, babe." But Anna was no longer comfortable assuming that. She started researching articles about dogs detecting seizures, cancer, even low blood sugar in humans. One story described a Labrador that sensed an undiagnosed heart problem in a toddler. Another told of a husky who repeatedly sniffed a woman's chest till she was later diagnosed with breast cancer. These weren't just coincidences. These dogs had picked up on chemical changes, behavior shifts, and subtle cues that went unnoticed by doctors and machines. Anna looked at Max, lying under the crib again, eyes open, always watching. She whispered, "What are you trying to tell me?" The next morning, Lily seemed fussier than usual. She cried more, fed less, and wouldn't settle unless Max was beside her. He remained calm, but wouldn't look away, not even for a second. That evening, Anna made the decision. "I'm taking her to the doctor tomorrow," she told Ben. I don't care if everything seems fine. Something's off. Max knows it, and I need to find out what it is. Ben looked uneasy but nodded. Okay, let's go. As they turned off the lights and headed to bed, Anna stood for a moment at the nursery door. Max was already in position, watching, waiting. She didn't know what they would find the next day, but deep down, she knew this wasn't just a dog being overprotective. This was something more. Something they couldn't afford to ignore. Anna barely slept the night before the appointment. Every time she closed her eyes, she imagined Max's face, those alert, unblinking eyes, staring into her soul. He wasn't barking or panicking. That would have been easier to ignore. But it was his quiet intensity that unnerved her, as if he knew something terrible was on the edge of unfolding. At sunrise, Lily stirred in her crib. Max, already awake, gently stood up and nudged his nose toward her chest. Anna stood watching from the doorway, clutching a mug of coffee she hadn't touched. She didn't need more convincing. Today, she would get answers. At the pediatrician's office, the nurse cooed over Lily's rosy cheeks and soft curls. Everything looked perfect on the outside. The doctor, a calm and friendly woman named Dr. Patel, smiled as she gently examined Lily from head to toe. She seems healthy, the doctor said, as she checked Lily's reflexes. Feeding well, no fevers. Normal. Diaper output. Anna nodded. Yes, but our dog Maxie's been acting strange, really strange. He's become obsessed with her. He won't leave her side. He watches her constantly. He even barked one night when she coughed. And he keeps sniffing her chest. Always the same spot. Dr. Patel raised her eyebrows with interest, not disbelief. Some dogs can detect things. We can't. I've heard stories. You said she coughed. Yes, Anna said, and sometimes, I think she skips a breath for a second. It's quick, but Max always reacts first. The doctor paused. Would you mind if we ran a few additional tests, just to be sure everything's functioning as it should? Please, Anna said quickly. I need to know. While blood was drawn and a portable ECG machine was brought in, Max waited in the car with Ben. He sat up in the back seat, ears twitching, his gaze fixed on the clinic doors as if he knew exactly where Lily was. Inside, Lily stayed calm during the tests, blinking up at the bright lights without a fuss. Anna held her daughter's tiny hand, her heart pounding. She had no idea what they were looking for, but Max's behavior had convinced her that anything could be wrong. When the results finally came back, Dr. Patel walked in with a subtle shift in expression. She wasn't smiling now. I'm really glad you brought her in, she said gently. We did find something. Anna felt her breath catch. What is it? She asked, her voice nearly a whisper. There's an irregularity in Lily's heartbeat. It's subtle but consistent. We're seeing occasional pauses and slight drops in oxygen levels. It could be a form of infant arrhythmia or even a rare condition called bradycardia, where the heart beats too slowly. Anna stared, stunned. Is it dangerous? It can be, Dr. Patel said carefully, but because we caught it now, we have time. We're going to refer you to a pediatric cardiologist right away. They'll do a full evaluation. Depending on the diagnosis, treatment could range from medication to monitoring devices, but early detection makes all the difference. Anna's hands trembled as she held Lily tighter. I wouldn't have known, she murmured. I thought she was fine. Dr. Patel nodded. Most parents wouldn't. The symptoms are nearly invisible. But your dog sounds like he knew before any of us. Back in the car, Anna slid into the passenger seat, holding Lily close to her chest. Ben turned to her with wide eyes. Well, he asked. Anna looked at Max, who was leaning forward, sniffing Lily's blanket gently. She reached out and touched his head. You were right, she said softly, her voice breaking. You saved her. Max let out a quiet whine, then settled back into his seat, still watching Lily, still on duty. And for the first time in weeks, Anna didn't try to stop him. She understood now. The pediatric cardiologist's office was painted in soft pastels with cheerful murals on the walls, but Anna couldn't shake the weight pressing down on her chest. She had been dreading this appointment for days ever since Dr. Patel mentioned the irregular heartbeat. Ben held Lily in his arms, whispering to her softly. Max, though not allowed in the medical building, had come along again, waiting patiently in the car. Even with the windows cracked and the air conditioner on, Max wouldn't lie down. He sat alert, his eyes trained on the building doors, tail motionless, posture tense. Inside, the waiting room was unusually quiet for a children's clinic. Anna stared at the patterned carpet while the minutes crawled by. When Lily's name was called, she stood up so fast she nearly dropped her bag. Ben placed a steadying hand on her back as they followed the nurse down the hallway. The cardiologist, Dr. Meredith Shaw, was calm and precise. She examined Lily carefully, asking detailed questions while reviewing the previous test results. Then came the deeper diagnostics: a full EKG, a pulse oximetry reading, and a scan Anna couldn't even pronounce. The room was silent except for the steady hum of machines. Anna watched Lily's tiny chest rise and fall. She looked perfect, peaceful. It was impossible to believe anything could be wrong with something so small and pure. But the monitors said otherwise. After what felt like an eternity, Dr. Shaw sat down, hands folded. "I want to thank you for bringing her in early," she began. "You did the right thing." Anna didn't say anything. Her throat was too tight. "Lily has a rare condition called sinus node dysfunction," the doctor continued. "It means the natural pacemaker in her heart isn't working properly. Her heart occasionally forgets to beat or beats too slowly. It's mild right now, but it could become more severe as she grows." Ben took a slow breath. What does that mean for her?" "In many cases," Dr. Shaw said gently, "infants with this condition appear normal until something serious happens. Sudden fainting, low oxygen, or even cardiac arrest during sleep." Anna felt her knees weaken. She could have stopped breathing in her sleep. She asked, voice cracking. Dr. Shaw nodded. "Yes. That's why we often don't catch it until it's too late. But in Lily's case, your timing was crucial. We're going to begin by monitoring her heart 24/7 with a special wearable device. Depending on how her condition progresses, she may eventually need a pacemaker." Anna stared at the floor, trying to process the words, and then it hit her. The cough, the stiffening, the moments Max reacted before anyone else. He had known all along. "Can dogs sense this kind of thing?" Anna asked suddenly. Dr. Shaw looked intrigued. "Actually, yes. Some dogs can detect changes in heart rhythms, breathing patterns, even oxygen levels. They pick up on subtle shifts humans can't. It's rare but not unheard of." Anna wiped her eyes. "I thought he was just being protective, but he was trying to warn us." Later that afternoon, they returned home. As soon as they opened the door, Max rushed over to them, not with excitement, but urgency. He stood on his hind legs, nose pressed toward Lily's chest, checking her again. Anna knelt down, holding Lily close. "She's going to be okay," she whispered. "Thanks to you." Max let out a soft huff, then sat beside them, tail brushing the floor slowly. He didn't bark, he didn't move. He just watched Lily. Still on duty, still protecting her. But now, Anna no longer felt fear in that watchful stare. She felt gratitude. Because while no one had noticed, Max had and in doing so, he had given Lily something no one else could, a second chance. The weeks following, Lily's diagnosis felt like a blur of appointments, wires, and sleepless nights. But through it all, Max never changed. He remained exactly as he had always been, devoted, and watchful. Every time Lily wore her monitoring device, Max would sit nearby, occasionally glancing at the small blinking light on the band wrapped around her tiny chest. It was as if he understood what it meant. The family had begun referring to him as Nurse Max, and even the pediatrician began asking about his reactions during checkups. "Has Max noticed anything different lately?" Dr. Shaw would ask. Anna smiled each time. "If he had, we'd be here the next hour." But behind the smile was a deep, quiet awareness. Max wasn't just a pet anymore. He was part of Lily's medical team without the degree, but with instincts no textbook could teach. As Lily grew past her 2-month mark, her personality began to bloom. She smiled more, cooed loudly, and followed voices with her eyes. But no one got a reaction from her like Max did. The first time she giggled, Max was the reason. He had been lying beside her during tummy time on a soft blanket in the living room. He scooted forward and gently nudged her foot with his nose. Lily squealed with joy. Then Max did it again, this time wagging his tail, and Lily broke into a tiny laugh that made Anna stop in her tracks. Ben looked up from the kitchen and laughed too. Did she just laugh at him? Anna nodded, stunned. She did. From then on, it became their thing. Max would sit beside her rocker or blanket, resting his head near her feet. Lily would reach for his ears, sometimes pulling a little too hard, and Max never flinched. He would simply adjust his position and nuzzle her hand, making her erupt in giggles once more. It was becoming clear that Max wasn't just watching her anymore, he was bonding with her. There was trust flowing both ways. Lily would only fall asleep if Max was within arm's reach. During doctor visits, she fussed and cried until Max reappeared at the end. And even when family members came to visit, Max would hover close if Lily was being held by someone unfamiliar. One afternoon, Anna took a video of Lily lying in her crib, Max's head resting gently on the mattress. Lily was wide awake, babbling softly, while Max watched her face with absolute stillness. She posted the video online with the caption, "He saved her once. Now he watches her like it's his life's purpose." Within hours, the video began to spread. Comments poured in from around the world. "This is love in its purest form. Some dogs are born with souls bigger than we can imagine. Get this dog a medal." But the most powerful comment came from a pediatric nurse who wrote, "Dogs like Max are more than guardians, they're silent alarms." He knew. Trust him. Always trust him. As time passed, Lily's condition remained stable under monitoring. Doctors remained cautious but optimistic, and through every moment, every beep from the monitor, Every tiny breath Max tracked with unwavering focus. He stayed grounded. Max didn't need to speak. He didn't need to explain. He just needed to be there. One night, after a particularly long day of appointments, Anna found herself watching Lily sleep. Max was lying beside the crib, his chin resting on his front paws. His eyes were half closed, but Anna knew he was still listening. Still feeling, still ready. She sat beside him and whispered, "You knew before anyone else. You loved her before she even knew how to love back." Max didn't move, but his tail thumped once on the floor. It was all she needed, because in that quiet nursery, under the soft hum of a baby monitor, a mother and a dog sat side by side, bowed not just by instinct, but by a silent, sacred promise. It started like any other night. The house was quiet. Lily had gone down early, tucked in gently beneath her soft pink blanket. The hum of the baby monitor filled the nursery, its green light blinking steadily. Max, as always, had taken up his usual post beside the crib, alert but relaxed, eyes half closed. Anna and Ben were in the living room, half watching a movie neither of them would remember. Their minds were tired, but things had finally settled into a routine. The medical monitor had shown no major incidents for over 2 weeks. Lily was gaining weight, smiling more, even sleeping longer. It almost felt normal again. Until Max stood up. It wasn't sudden. He rose slowly, like a soldier hearing a distant signal, ears pricked, head high. His nose twitched once, and he walked to the nursery door. Anna noticed immediately. "Ben," she said, sitting up straight. "He's doing it again." Ben muted the television. Maybe she's just stirring. But Anna was already moving. She knew that look. It was different than when Lily simply fussed or cried. Max wasn't reacting to noise. He was sensing something else, something deeper. She reached the nursery. In seconds, Max was already beside the crib, pawing gently at the frame, letting out a low, anxious whine. His eyes darted between Lily and Anna, as if pleading her to act. Anna's heart dropped. Lily's chest wasn't moving. No rise, no fall. "Ben," she screamed. She reached into the crib with shaking hands, lifting Lily gently. Her skin was warm, but her lips looked slightly pale. Anna pressed her ear to Lily's chest and froze. Too quiet. Ben rushed in, phone in hand. "What happened?" "She's not breathing. Call them now." Max barked a sharp, piercing sound that had never come from him before. He paced in tight circles, then jumped up toward the front door. The ambulance arrived in under 7 minutes. By the time paramedics took over, Lily was beginning to breathe, again shallow, slow, but present. The oxygen monitor had failed to alert them, a faulty connection. The technician later said it hadn't triggered the alarm, but Max had. At the hospital, doctors confirmed Lily had experienced a brief cardiac pause. Her heart had stopped for nearly 10 seconds before restarting on its own. For an infant with sinus node dysfunction, it was a dangerous threshold. Had they waited even 1 minute longer, the outcome might have been different. As Anna sat in the hospital room, cradling her daughter, Max rested his head on her lap. He had been allowed inside once the nurses learned why he was there. A pediatric specialist entered the room, her expression serious but kind. "Your daughter is incredibly lucky," she said softly. That pause, it could have gone unnoticed. Until it was too late. "Your dog saved her life." Again, Anna nodded, unable to speak. The specialist continued, "We're recommending an implantable pacemaker. She's strong enough for the procedure. It will regulate her heartbeat and prevent another episode like this." Ben reached for Anna's hand and squeezed. That night, long after the hospital lights dimmed and nurses whispered in the halls, Anna sat awake with Max at her feet and Lily asleep beside her. She ran her fingers through his fur and whispered, "You didn't give up. You knew. You always knew." Max blinked up at her, then rested his head on the blanket near Lily's tiny foot. There were no medals, no headlines, just a dog, a baby, and the quiet strength of a bond that defied understanding. Anna knew, deep in her heart, that this wasn't over, but whatever came next, they would face it together, because Max wasn't just guarding Lily anymore, was fighting for her, every moment, every breath. The morning of Lily's pacemaker surgery arrived with a nervous stillness in the air. The hospital room was quiet, bathed in soft morning light. Nurses moved gently around the family, preparing Lily for the procedure. Anna sat beside the hospital crib, stroking her daughter's tiny fingers, whispering the same words over and over. "You're strong. You're brave. We've got you." Max wasn't allowed in the surgical wing, but the hospital made a rare exception. He was permitted to stay in the family waiting room, lying quietly with his head between his paws, eyes fixed on the hallway as though he could feel every moment passing inside those sterile walls. Ben sat beside him, hand on Max's back. "She'll be okay," he said, though he wasn't sure if it was meant for Max or himself. Hours passed. Finally, Dr. Shaw returned, removing her surgical cap, a small smile on her face. "It went perfectly," she said. "The pacemaker is working. Her heart responded just as we hoped. She needed a day or two in recovery, but she's going to be okay." Anna burst into tears, not out of fear but relief. She clutched Ben's hand, then turned to Max, who had already stood up, tail slowly wagging. She made it, she whispered. You did it, Max. You helped save her again. The following days were slow but full of healing. Nurses and even other parents began stopping by their room not just to check on Lily, but to see Max. Word had spread around the hospital about the German Shepherd who had alerted his family not once, but twice, to a silent condition no one else could detect. He's a hero, one nurse whispered. He's more than that, Anna replied. He's family. When Lily was finally cleared to go home, she was stronger than ever. Her color was better. Her heartbeat, steady and smooth under the guidance of her new pacemaker, no longer skipped or slowed. Even her cries were louder, more determined. Back at home, Max returned to his place beside the crib without hesitation. But now, there was something different in his posture. It wasn't urgency, it was peace. His duty hadn't ended, but the weight of it had lessened. Months passed, and Lily continued to thrive. Her follow-up appointments went well, and she reached every milestone with growing confidence. She began crawling in where she went. Max followed. If she played in the living room, Max sat watching. If she crawled toward the kitchen, Max trotted ahead, clearing the path. And when she started taking her first wobbly steps, she reached for Max's fur for balance. They were inseparable. The video Anna had posted months ago continued to circulate. A local news station contacted the family, and soon Max's story reached national audiences. People from all over the world sent messages of admiration and gratitude. Some shared similar stories of pets who had sensed medical conditions. Others simply wrote to say Max had given them hope. But to Anna, the greatest part of the story was not the attention, it was the quiet comfort of seeing her daughter alive, laughing, and free. And knowing it was because one dog never stopped, listening to something the rest of the world couldn't hear. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the house grew quiet, Anna watched Lily asleep in her crib pacemaker, quietly pulsing in rhythm, and Max curled around its base. She leaned against the doorframe and whispered, "You were sent to us for a reason, weren't you?" Max didn't stir, but she saw his ear twitch, just once, as if he'd heard her. And in that simple gesture, Anna felt it all over again. The love, the trust, the devotion that words could never fully explain. Because Max didn't just protect Lily, he gave her life, a chance to shine. And in doing so, he reminded everyone who heard their story that sometimes, the most silent hearts speak the loudest.